Jesus explains the eternal cycle, upward development, and divine union. March 20th and 21st, 1947. Message 4004 from Jesus through Bertha Dudde. Spoken by Pascal. In the divine works of creation, the power from God condenses and takes on form. What the human eye sees, therefore, testifies to God's will to create, as well as to His omnipotence, which may bring to fruition everything God desires. Omnipotence and will, however, are governed by wisdom and crowned by love. Where love, wisdom, and omnipotence are at work, only highly perfect works of creation may come into being, i.e., they must reveal meaning and purpose, and their purpose must also correspond to God's love and wisdom. It must be the perfecting of what is still imperfect. The power flowing from God is continually increasing. It flows to the smallest entities buzzing in the universe, drives them to unite, until an endless number of essential substances have been found, guided by God's will, and are visible to the human eye as new creations. All beings are animated by a will, which, although it can no longer determine itself, can nevertheless turn either towards or away from God. The form into which the beingness is shaped by God's will and power is correspondingly the same. For God's will and wisdom has set the ultimate goal for the beingness to reach perfection, to reach the state resulting in union with God Himself. Through continual union with equally mature spiritual beings, God's emanation of strength is also constantly utilized, for it is the stimulus according to which the beings seek one another and unite. The strength from God is love, and love will always awaken the desire for unification, which is why the whole of creation may also be called God's strength of love become form. Its fundamental substance is love, just as it always testifies to God's love to him who earnestly reflects on the meaning and purpose of creation, once again awakening love within man when he has recognized God as the eternal love through his works. But the true purpose of creation can only be recognized by man in a certain state of maturity. And indeed, then when the divine power of love flows into him, again awakening the spiritual within him to life, that it too may seek to establish union with equally mature spiritual substances. However, this union is then no longer achieved upon earthly creations, and instead, the spiritual within man rises into purely spiritual spheres, and establishes a connection with the inhabitants of those spheres. Thus, it is a cycle, as it were. The power emanating from God flows into the universe, animating countless beings, driving them to unite, and thus condense into form, depending on the will to resist God into solid or easily soluble matter, until the soul of man has formed itself through constant unification, which now again forms itself through a supply of power, according to the willingness to receive, so that spiritual beings from the kingdom of light, from non-material creation, unite with it, and draw it over into the spheres of light, that it may now find the union with God through increased striving, on earth or in the spiritual kingdom. And now, the power having emerged from him has flowed back to him again, increased within itself, for a continually active power produces new power again and again. This cycle plays out according to the divine fundamental law, always repeating itself within a certain period of time, and therefore it is an eternal process of creation. New forms will eternally emerge from God's will to create, since his love, wisdom, and strength never end, since his love continually seeks to bless and delight. His wisdom knows the proper ways to elevate the still imperfect into a state that brings with it bliss. And because his strength must develop, for strength is life, and God, as eternal love himself, must be incessantly active, and thus he manifests himself in his works. How this process of upward development occurs can only be understood by those whose spirits are awakened, who already established the union of the spiritual spark slumbering within them with the Father Spirit of eternity, or who strive to establish it, who consciously strive towards God, and thereby mature in knowledge. To them, the divine Creator's creations and forms have become comprehensible through his works. For God speaks to them through creation, if they cannot be directly instructed by the voice of the Spirit. Then will the soul of man have escaped its banished state. Then it may certainly continue to dwell on earth according to the body, but at any time rise into the spiritual spheres. For once it has recognized God, it will consciously strive towards him, and its stay on earth will not last much longer. The spiritual substance within it will return to its origin of eternity. It will unite with the light. It will unite with God and be indescribably blissful. Amen.